it's not happening because I think our employees are healthier. So it's not kicking in.
Ready to roll?
Ready? All right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is the Town of New Canaan Town Council regular meeting for Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. We will go to the agenda item number 1, which is the Pledge of Allegiance we'll start with. And we are very graced to have the presence of Boy Scout Troop 31 to lead the pledge. So I would ask the troop to come on up. And if you would all rise, and you guys can choose which flag you'd like to, flags are behind you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can choose whatever one you want. And whenever you're ready, start it up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Well, fellas, why don't you stay up for a second?
Not out of here yet.
Don't you slip out of here so quick. This is going to be painful. Hey, Eric, I have to throw it to you here. So why don't you want to introduce yourself and chat with the boys?
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. This is Eric Tunham, Town Council member and a proud alumnus of Troop 70. But I had a lot of friends who were in Troop 31 when I was growing up in New Canaan. I got my Eagle Scout about 1 million years ago. So I hope the 4 of you are striving toward the best that you can do in the Scouts. Hope you're learning great things about citizenship and community service. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you, fellas. Why don't you quickly introduce yourselves?
I'm Declan. I go to Sachs Middle School and I'm in 7th grade. I'm currently a 2nd class and I'm working for my 1st class.
Awesome.
I'm Joseph Federici. I go to New Canaan High School. I'm a freshman and I'm in Light Scout working towards my Eagle.
My name is William Materi. I am a junior at New Canaan High School. And I'm a Life Scout currently working on my Eagle. So I'll join you, Eric.
Nice.
Awesome.
Way to go, guys.
One more.
My name's Steven. I go to Sachs Middle School. I'm in 7th grade. I am currently a Tenderfoot Scout and I'm working on my 2nd class.
Good deal. Awesome.
Terrific.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Oh my God, there.
All right. Moving along. We will now do the roll call.
Janet Fonts, I'm here. Lena Lee. Mike Mora.
Here.
Maria Naughton.
Here.
Kim Norton.
Here.
Larry Ormond.
Here.
Mike Rogers.
Here.
Christina Ross.
Here.
Heather Russell.
Here.
Eric Tunham.
Here.
Penny Young.
Here.
Jen Zonas.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Moving on to, we'll now call the meeting to order, and we will move on to agenda item number 2, minutes. Approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held on January 21, 2026, the public hearing held on February 9, 2026, and the special meeting held on February 9, 2026. So what we'll do is I'll make the motion if we can get a second, and we can open it up for any edits. Okay, so I'll make the motion. Who will second? Janet. All right, Janet, second. We'll open up the discussion. Does anyone have any edits for January 21, 2026? Once, twice. How about February 9, 2026? Right. And then the special meeting held on February 9, 2026. No joke. I don't think in 9 years.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not kidding. I don't even know. I know. Exactly. Okay. All right. No.
So I don't know if this is necessarily an edit, but in the special meeting, February 9. Oh no, sorry. Let's strike that. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, all right. The motion passes unanimously. All minutes are adopted without amendment or modification. Number 3, public comments. Members of the public are welcome to speak to the town council on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Speakers are requested to provide their name and street address, and comments will be limited to 2 to 3 minutes, subject to the total number of speakers. Do we have any comments in the room? Public comments? None. Any online? Okay, moving on to agenda item number 4, internal audit update. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, so just everyone here, we're gonna move number 6 up because our candidate is here on Zoom, and I think it'd just be appropriate to just move that up. So I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to move item 6 to new number item 4. And if we just vote on that, and then we will then move to that one. So I will make a motion to move agenda item number 6 to agenda item number 4. Can I get a second? Maria? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Okay.
Did Christina vote?
Okay, so yeah, thank you. All right, so that being said, our new agenda item number 4 is the Housing Authority appointment to confirm the appointment of Marilyn Boulware Hewlett as resident commissioner as required by HUD for a 5-year term ending April 30, 2023. Can I have someone make that motion other than
2030.
2030?
I'll move.
Okay, so Hillary makes the motion, Penny seconds the motion. Can we have discussion? And why don't we, yeah, absolutely. Marilyn, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. So I'm just waving so you can see me. I know it's a little tough out there.
Hello.
First of all, thank you for stepping up and serving. Would you like to give a little kind of synopsis of your life, your thoughts, dreams, and hopes?
30
seconds, your life.
I've been in the community probably 30 years or so. I know a number of the residents that live in the Millport, New Canaan Parish complexes. I'm a real estate agent for Coldwell Banker since 2008. I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and proud of that. I come from parents that had several businesses and were entrepreneurs back in the 40s. I love this community. I love my complex, my neighbors. I appreciate being of service to help out in any way that I can with the other commissioners. I plan to meet with Pam next week, and we're going to stay in constant communication so that I can meet all the requirements that they're expecting of me. Yeah, so I'm excited. This is sort of new to me because I really stay busy with family and friends and church, not so much into town meetings as such, but it's a new beginning. It's something that I can really get into now and learn something new and different. So I have a lot of ideas for things that we can do in the 3 complexes here near the pond to bring the tenants together so that we can communicate back and forth any concerns and any praises that they may want to let the commissioners know, and plan to participate in the board meetings and be available. What else? Let's see. I'll be advocating for safety, fair, and well-maintained housing. And I'm very accessible. Being a realtor, my telephone number is out there, my website. So thank you for asking me to join. And I hope you all are well and safe with all the snow and the weather. And I'm excited to get into spring and summer.
Thank you, Marilyn. I really
Yes.
appreciate that. Does anyone have any questions or comments or anything for Marilyn? Anybody? Well, Marilyn, thank you so much for stepping up. The heartbeat of our community are the volunteers who step up to serve in these unpaid capacities and to give their time, which is the very few things that we actually have that we can control. So thank you very much. With that said, we'll move forward with a vote.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much, Marilyn. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll now move to agenda item number 5, which is the internal audit update. It's a general update on the status of the internal audit related to town's procurement procedures. 10 minutes. Thank you for coming in. If you want to just, for the record, introduce yourself, and we're all ears. Yeah, just pull it towards you real close as you can so everyone can hear. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bill Bradley, and I am chair of the subcommittee within the audit committee that is focusing on the internal audit projects. I'd like much of the focus to kind of be forward-looking and tell you about sort of the next steps we're going to go to, but I do have to spend a little bit of time just to make sure people understand the context and the background. By way of background, there have really been no internal audit projects at the town since about 2018. There were a number that were done 16, 17, 18, and then ultimately COVID hit. That kind of put everything on a hiatus, and nothing has really been done for a while. So when the audit committee was looking at what do we want to take a look at, we kind of decided to go big. And by big, I mean look at the sort of the end-to-end procure to pay process. How does a town commit to making an obligation? How does it accept an obligation? How does it pay a vendor? And it really is a pretty lengthy kind of set of processes to review. Unlike some of the prior projects, which were very discrete and very targeted, let's look at, the special purpose accounts, or let's look at the IT payroll. This was a real kind of wing-to-wing focus on processes and procedures. And the real thing we were focusing on is, are the policies up to date? Are they comprehensive? Are they following best practices? And are they designed to implement controls that, hopefully minimize the risk of fraud and error? And then around that, we had some testing to do so. So it was a pretty ambitious kind of project because, as I said, we're looking at the procurement process, vendor management, accounts payable. It touched a lot of different people. So like 16 or 18 folks within the town were sort of interviewed. We looked at a couple of firms to help us with this. A firm called Clifton CLA. I'm going to refer to them as CLA, but Clifton Larson Allen, which is a sort of mid-size accounting auditing firm here in the Connecticut area. And they have a lot of experience working with municipalities. And we're very close to kind of completing our work on this project and get to the next sort of phase of it. And I'll get to that in a second. And I really don't want to get into the content of it because we haven't finalized it, but I do want people to know, of the sort of the 9 findings and recommendations. And, it sounds like very specific, there might be some sub recommendations with it, but of sort of the 9 broad findings and recommendations, that the town management agrees with 5 of them. 1 of them they have already mitigated. 1 they disagree with. And 2, I want to say they have a sort of a soft agreement with, and they're just flagging maybe either resource issues or time constraints. So I hope, without getting into the content, that kind of gives you a feel for things. CLA is on the record, I think, in one of our meetings saying the findings here are, certainly within the norm of what they see in a lot of Connecticut towns. Okay. But I don't, because we have not finalized things, I don't want to get into some of the specific content tonight. The next steps for us are, as a subcommittee, to, in a public forum, meet with the town and have the town finance team take us through kind of their comments to the findings in the report. And then from there, the subcommittee will say, okay, what do we want to prioritize? And the idea would be to take, maybe there are a bunch of recommendations. How do we do triage on these? Which ones do we want to emphasize first? Do we want to put some deadlines on? So here's a recommendation. When can we expect it to be done? do they need any help to do it? Who's going to take the lead on it? So the idea would be, once we kind of understand the management comments, and the management and the subcommittee may or may not agree with every single one, and that's certainly fair. But once we kind of get alignment, we will then say, how do we prioritize this? What are the steps to get achieving, certain steps? There were a number of areas I will say that said, there are areas where we can sort of buff up some of the policy. And I think the town just needs some help on that area. And so, I think it's a very easy thing to do, but we've got to have that next step and develop the timeline and the actions for the follow-up. So the subcommittee is very excited about setting this sort of roadmap for the future progress. And I do want to remind people, this was a pretty extensive project, given, it wasn't a very targeted, we'll look at, parking receipts, or it was a pretty extensive project. And if a finance team has not been through it before, it's a lot of work. So I'm going to leave it at that and see if you have any questions.
Okay, we'll open up to some questions or questions.
I have a quick question.
Janet.
Did CLA do the Board of Ed as well at the same time, or was it a separate audit?
They did. I'm only speaking about the town tonight.
Oh, okay.
Kim.
Yeah. Hi,
Hi.
Norton, Town Council. I'm curious to know if this meeting will be a public meeting. You said the subcommittee will be
I think
meeting.
it has to be.
Do you know when that's going to be by? any
I'm
chance?
just trying to get it scheduled. Yep.
Oh, okay.
No,
so
it'll be
to
posted. It'll be
determined.
agenda. There'll be a notice for it. Yes.
So I had another question about the department chair. I don't know if anyone has another question about this, about the audit committee chair. There was an article in the paper today about who might, what's being done to try to find a chairman.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I don't know. So.
Yeah.
I expect people up here or back there may know a lot more about that than I do.
Okay, thank you. I
So.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Christina.
Bill, Christina Ross here. The town council set up the audit committee by ordinance because we felt that we didn't have the expertise in that line of work to
Sure.
really get into the nuts and bolts of it. And I find it curious that your commission or committee is reporting to the Board of Selectmen and not to us. So I feel like we're in the dark when the responsibility is on us.
Okay. I would disagree with the sentiment that we report to the Board of Selectmen. I think and again, I can make a hazard of guesses to my fellow members, but certainly I don't feel beholden to the selectmen. I think everyone here is volunteering and doing it for the well-being of the town and to improve things. But I don't feel that.
I think you misunderstood or I misexpressed myself. I would have expected that the presentation for the audit would come to us rather than to the Board of Selectmen or to the first selectman. I'm not sure.
Well, no, it hasn't. So it has to go to the finance team. So when I talk about the town, I'm really talking about Anne and, the controller and her staff, et cetera. So that's sort of the key management constituents that I'm focused on.
Okay, and the draft
Ultimately, I agree, yes.
The draft document hasn't been presented to the Board of Selectmen or the first selectman?
It has not been presented to the Board of Selectmen to the extent that someone in town hall may have shared something with the first selectman. That may have occurred, but the committee has not done any of that.
Okay, so when do you feel that we may have a report?
Well, as I said, I think we're very close to getting, if honest, I think we need to have that public meeting with the subcommittee meeting to go through the management comments. And I think then we'll be in good shape.
Okay, thank you.
Hillary.
Somebody else have a
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see.
question first.
Hillary.
So you were saying that this is a very extensive report, that it's covering.
The scope of it was
The scope of it
extensive,
is
yeah.
pretty extensive. Is this following what you would consider a normal timeframe for doing one of these? And when is it following a normal course of business when you're going back and forth with like the finance department before it would get presented to us as a final report?
Well, in terms of the time frame, yeah, it certainly took longer than I would have hoped. But I think, having been in corporate America for 35 plus years, and I was always on the other side, right? So I knew what the auditors were always looking for. So I dealt with auditors all the time and I knew everything they were looking for. And there's always back and forth on, because sometimes they'll say, write something and you go back to them and say, you know what, you guys had it wrong. It's really this and this. And then they go, okay, we got to look at this again. So there is a little bit of back and forth, give and take on it. But yeah, it just with schedules and everything, it obviously took longer than we would have hoped. And I think plus the fact that this was the first time this had been done here. One thing that I feel really good about is for the members of the audit committee, it gives them a real good lay of the land for, hey, let's look at a targeted piece on this, because now we have a much better understanding of how it all kind of fits together from a town perspective, right? In terms of how the flows work.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Any other questions? And Bill, I'm assuming you feel that you're getting the full cooperation you need for whatever information and access you need?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, with that said, no other questions? Nobody? Thank you, Bill, for your time and the quick update. Really appreciate it. We'll move on to agenda item number 6, financial update. Update on recent financial results. 10 minutes for Ryan Stacy and Kelly Lentz. Trying out there.
I am here. Yep, just getting my screen shared. 2 seconds. All right. So yeah, if Anne's around, that's great, but I'll just jump right in if that's okay.
Sure. However you guys want to handle it's fine by me or us.
All right.
Me.
Yeah.
So bad.
All right. So these are the year-to-date financials through the end of January 26th, as presented to the Board of Finance 2 weeks ago on February 10th.
Where are they?
Okay, yo, could you hold on?
You should have these packets in your tablets. Yep.
Yeah, just give us one moment, please.
Right now.
Is it called January
It's easier when
financials?
we look at the tablets versus the monitors in the room.
And then it's under the folder for today,
Through January
which is.
Yeah, it should be labeled 05BOF January financials.
Yeah,
That's a folder for today. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's it.
Just wait. So hold on. There's a couple more people have to get a hold of it.
Yeah, we're looking for the town council. Here it is, town council.
There, right.
And then today. And then that one.
Okay.
We're good to go?
This, what's on the screen right now, you guys, is like scroll up a couple of pages and then you'll get to the, I think that's.
All right, take it
Yeah,
away.
this is the sort of the highlights page.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, okay.
Good to go.
Alrighty. So starting with revenue, overall revenue, I have 168.8 million so far in the year, 96.3% of what we've expected, what our budgeted number is. Just as a point of interest, 58% is 7 months. So any revenue number that's above 58%, we like. That's where we are so far in the year. Current tax collections obviously is only twice a year, so we're not really expecting that to be a linear thing, but some of these others can be. So just keep that in mind. Current tax collections, as of the end of January, when or sort of middle of February when I produced this, 160.2 million, which is 6.9 million over 25, 4.5% increase, and it's 97.6% of our fiscal 26 budget. Just a quick update. I looked just now, we're actually 163.6 million and 99.8% of our budget as of kind of today. Those are the book numbers as of today. Prior year tax collections were at 219,000, just a little bit under last year, 36,000 less than last year, 14%, but we're at 73% of the budget. Building permits are 669,000, which is 170,000 less than last year, pretty significant decrease, but 74.3% of our expected budget for this year. We had some big development November, December of 2024, which bumped those numbers up pretty significantly. If we don't have that same kind of increase, then our numbers this year are going to look a little bit less than that. That's an explanation for that decrease year over year. Conveyance fees are 1.3 million, which is just about flat from last year, 84.2% of this year's budget. Parking permits are 778,000, 40,000 less than last year, but 84.7% of the 26 budget. Interest on investments, as of when I wrote this report, I didn't have the January statements yet. So we were at 1.3 million, which was just a little bit 2.5% over last year's number, or 72.9% of the budget. I do have some updated numbers. So we're at 1.4 million right now, and 78.8% of the budget. Transfer station tipping fees is the only thing that really is a significant decrease. 165,000 where we're at, 48,000 less than last year, and 39.8% of the expected budget for this year. The reason for that generally is that, as Tiger would explain it, the carriers or the garbage pickup companies have a choice of where they drop their trash off, and they're just not choosing New Canaan right now. Though that does lead to a offsetting decrease in the cost. So if our revenue goes down in that area, our costs also tend to go down.
Okay.
Board of Education excess cost grant, we don't get that until pretty soon actually, but we don't get it until the spring, so it's $0 for now. And then I have kind of a summary. All other revenues are at 4.2 million, which is 95.3% of this year's budget, but down from last year. A lot of that's timing related and when we make transfers and things like that in the system. So that's kind of what makes up the bulk of that other revenue. If you want the detail of what makes up those other revenues, I did put some individual lines on that cover sheet, but pages 5 and 6 of that packet have everything that's in that category. So there's more detail in there if you're interested.
Oh, great.
Ryan, why don't you explain what member equity is?
Sure. That is an amount of money that the insurance companies basically send to their members if they make excess profit. So that's, I don't know if that's the exact wording Ann would use, but that's generally what that is. They give some money back to their members.
Yeah, it's return on equity. Kermit is our company that we go through for our general liability and our general insurance outside of medical. And each year they evaluate it and will give us member equity back. In the past, other than I think last year, or the year before, it's been pretty good.
Well, what triggers them when they decide to make that?
They do it every year based on what their returns are and then what other claims they've had to fill within other towns and other entities that they have. And then based on their bottom line numbers, I'm not sure the matrix of how they divvy it up per town, right. But it's how their year is, and then they give it back to their clients or their customers.
Right.
My office had a nice big.
Sounds like good found money.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
And the last thing for me is just overall expenses. We're at 92.6 million, which is 51.1% of the budgeted numbers for 26. There's nothing that really stands out to me when I'm looking at the individual expenses. You can see that on the screen or on that page 3 or 3 and 4 of the packet. But again, if you have questions, certainly let me know.
Yep. Any questions?
I would just say to our new members, don't feel any hesitancy if you don't understand stuff. I didn't for a while, and I had some great people to kind of walk me through it. So, you know, ask us, ask the people that are presenting. It's all good. We all, you know.
Yeah, I think I always forget what member equity is.
Yeah,
that's
right.
a great question.
I
Do you guys have any
Yeah.
questions about any of the line items?
I had one question on the parking fees, tickets, permits that went down. Is that because of all the free parking that were?
No, we actually have a month or two that needs to be booked. So we're
Oh,
going to
okay.
bring in about $100,000 once that's booked and brought up to date through January. So it'll actually swing it over
Oh, okay.
to where we are. Yeah.
Wow.
I have a question.
Yes.
It says 4159 insurance liability for 1.5 million. What is that?
That's all our general liability insurance. So it's our LAP, it's our directors and officers, it's our cybersecurity.
Okay.
It's all those outside of employee benefit or insurance coverages. It's all
Okay.
those.
Is the town self-insurance fund listed in this report anywhere?
It is. It's a one line item, which actually not a one line item. It's the line above at 4158 health and security benefits. You'll see it's at 7.6 million. That's in there is the insurance. I believe it's our ADAC or a contribution for the pension plan.
Mhm.
We don't have an ADAC on OPEB. And I think they're the main ones that are in that.
Okay, great. And is the stop loss bid, is that in a separate line than what we pay for stop loss
The stop
insurance?
loss is handled in a different, this is a piece of the stop loss. So in here is about $6.5 million.
Okay.
Which is the town's contribution towards the medical and dental plan.
Right.
That gets transferred over to an internal service fund.
Okay.
In there is where all the costs come out of. So the revenue goes between the employee contribution and this contribution by the employer.
Okay.
We transfer that into the internal service fund, and then all the claims, the stop loss, the HSA contributions, that all, and retiree expenses, that all comes out of that fund.
Okay, great. And so when we look at the budget, we look at it in next month, is that listed in the town budget somewhere that we can see all those self-insurance costs?
It'll be, when we do, no, what's in the budget that you approve is one lump sum that we say this is what the employer contribution is only. So the employer contribution could be maybe, like I said, it's 6.5 million.
Mhm.
The actual cost for the year could be 7.1 because
I
you've
see.
got the other expenditures are in there
Mhm.
and they net against the employee contributions that you don't see.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the retiree contributions.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yep.
For one-on-one type stuff, and I think it's important. Can you just briefly explain what the ISF is and what its purpose is? Okay.
The ISF is we call it the Internal Service Fund. And it's basically set up mostly for when you're self-insured so that you can protect your general fund from major fluctuations. So if you have major claims, catastrophe, anything, unfortunate claims that go high, what you do is each year you set the budget on what your employer contributions, once you set the budget of what you think your claims are going to be, your stop loss, your medical, your dental, life, disability, and it's actives and retirees. We send the contributions that the town puts forward, both town and Board of Ed, and you take the employee, active and retirees, and you put that into the Internal Service Fund revenue lines. Then that offsets, pays for the expenditures that come through. All the medical comes through, Cigna and Anthem for both Board of Ed and the town. Your stop loss, your HSA contributions, your admin fees if you have that. So, and we also keep a reserve in there because without going into too much detail on it, there's a reserve kept there as well. So that keeps the general fund pretty much, you're hoping flat with, regular cost of increases so that the fluctuation happens in the internal service fund. So you can keep your general fund functioning fine.
Thank you. I think
And Cigna is just our administrator. They're basically paying our money to.
Yeah, Cigna's for the
Yeah.
Board of Ed and Anthem is for the town. We're on two different
Right.
plans.
Okay.
There are medical coverage. And then we have a different one for over 65 retirees.
I know this question comes up on the Board of Ed side about whether, have we ever looked at not self-insurance, right? Have we ever looked at it on a town side to not be self-insured and whether there's any benefit to be gained by that?
Our broker on the town side has looked at that and the cost of what it would be. And so far the cost is not beneficial to move to you're saying a fully insured plan. Right now that cost is not beneficial to the town and to move forward with that.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Want questions or continue? I'm sorry. I don't know if I cut the presentation off, so.
Well, the expenses are
Oh, I'm
covered.
good.
They're held to encumbrances and the such, other than maybe overtime, which we're holding.
So we're running ahead in most categories in terms of revenues, right?
Right now,
Looks like-
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and which things like conveyance fees and, that starts to ramp up come April, May,
Right.
June. So we are doing pretty good on that. Investment income, taxes being 99.8 already. As you may be aware, we did a tax sale last year, so we got some properties back on the rolls that were, significant taxes. So that's back on the
Yeah.
rolls as well. So.
Good. Any other questions or these line items or anything else with this presentation? Okay, having heard nothing else, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Moving right along. So we'll now move to, I guess, agenda item number 8. No, 8, 7?
I think it's still 7.
7? Oh, it is 5. Committee reports, updates from committees, 10 minutes. So why don't I just go down the list? If there is an update, great. If not, we'll move it along. Bylaws and ordinances. Hillary.
Yes, we have a follow-up meeting on Monday, March 2nd at 6 o'clock in the boardroom. So not in this room, in the other room, to continue the conversation about a potential draft ordinance regarding gas-powered leaf blowers. Hopefully we can keep it. I think we're close. I think we're sort of at the finish line, right? To where it would be then escalated up to the full town council for review. So yeah, anybody listening, please come. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear your opinions, thoughts, all of the above. Monday, March 2nd.
Great. Okay. Education. Maria, anything for now?
Well, Janet and I had a joint committee meeting. There's so many letters. Town Council, Board of Finance, Board of Ed, joint committee meeting yesterday, and we got a presentation from Joe Spurgeon. And I think every year this comes up, the same questions kind of come up. We were asking if there's an opportunity to bid for the plan administrator and the carrier. We learned that they're not separate. They operate together. So you can't just bid out for a plan administrator. It's the whole thing. So we had a discussion about that. The superintendent said that going to a bid is really something the Board of Ed would have to suggest. And Joe's, based on his research, I guess same as the town, it wouldn't be beneficial. So, I mean, my thought is I still think it would be helpful. It's been 16 years, I think, without a bid. So, but that was really it. It was a good meeting if you want to watch that. And then the Board of Finance came after, where they did another 2.5 hours. So it was a long, long night, but a lot of information, good questions from everyone.
Awesome. Yes.
Can I just add,
Please.
what I personally found, like, it's a lot and it's a lot to follow. And so first of all, thank you, Maria and Janet. And like, it was an excellent discussion. And then I stayed around for the Board of Finance. It was almost like to have it a second time, have it sink in and like understand it better. And I just thought the one kernel like to take away that I found just helpful for me in understanding this, not that it's good news, but was what he was saying about it's not so much that we have many more very sick people, but that the costs of the hospitals, whether it's the stay and the procedures being done, that keeps going up and skyrocketing. And that itself also is a function of the fact that in Connecticut, there seems to be only 2 major hospital groups. And so, I don't know, like maybe the lack of more competition seem to be contributing to that. So I was just trying to understand. I mean, not that any of us are great at understanding the healthcare.
It was interesting. We were talking earlier too about how it sounds like the employee base is generally trending younger and healthier. So it's the stop loss payouts are not as big as they used to be.
And not
so
only,
it's like,
right.
Yeah.
And not even on the plan, because you are on your parents' plan until you're 26. So there's a group of people that are not on the plan, but they will be coming on the plan. So something to think about.
It's just interesting to see that.
Okay.
Observation.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's important. Okay, finance and government.
No report.
That's quick. Health and Human Services.
No report.
Infrastructure and utilities.
Well, just 2 updates. The Powerhouse Theater is in the last phase of fundraising. And the Waveney Playground, the exercise equipment portion is completed. And the playground equipment is in storage and expected to be installed as soon as the weather clears. That's about it. Everything else is on schedule.
Excellent.
When's the ramp going to be done?
We don't have a date on that.
What?
Oh, the LA?
Yeah, the alley.
We don't have a date on that at this time.
Snow is not helping,
Yeah.
but you can use it.
Yeah, you can get it.
Yeah, the stairs are there now and the ramp.
Okay, great. Land use, recreation, and conservation.
No updates.
Awesome. Public safety.
No update.
Okay, well, we did have the
Wait,
meeting.
we did have our meeting.
Yeah.
We did have our
Janet
budget
ran an
minutes.
excellent committee meeting. I'm serious. That was great. So, and it was a lot to go through, and with very obviously vital services for the town. So, if anyone has not been able to watch it remotely, please do. The tape, please watch that.
There was some interesting conversation about and the fire conversation because it looks like there may be a need for a second firehouse at some time down the future.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's nice on the wish list, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
What was the date of that?
What was it? It was Friday, the
6th? Was it the 6th? I think the 6th. Friday the 6th.
Fire commission?
Yeah.
When was it? They're saying when was it?
That was the 6th.
It was the 6th, the subcommittee meeting.
Yeah. Okay, Affordable Housing Committee.
We're about to kind of really ramp up with community outreach on 3 potentially identifiable sites for 100% affordable housing. So watch for those dates to be for our follow-up meetings, this particularly our site identification subcommittee. We'll be meeting a lot in March and April to get the ball rolling so that we can get something to the first selectman.
Awesome.
Wonder if it's appropriate for you to just do a little notice to all of us.
Oh, sure, of course.
You know, so that, because everybody doesn't watch the calendar every single day.
You don't?
I don't.
No, yeah, absolutely. I will keep you guys posted on those meeting dates. There was a discussion that was supposed to happen at the library with Scott Hobbs and Krista Nielsen that was postponed because of the not this snowstorm, but the last one. So hopefully that will get rescheduled as well. That's more of a general overview of affordable housing and where we stand, not so much our specific potential proposals.
I have a question.
Maria had her hand
Oh,
up first.
sorry.
If the town found a spot that was 100% affordable, does that, if another builder hadn't started anything yet, does that take the place and maybe stop a building, you know, a big project that doesn't even have that much affordable housing?
No, probably not. I assume you're like asking whether if we can, if there's like a building race, so to speak, like if we can build
If you're bringing in
sooner.
100% versus someone who's just putting in a few.
Right. So we're looking at exclusively town-owned properties to build on. Those, and as it's been winding through the courts, those identified developments went through the whole planning process when we didn't have a moratorium, unfortunately. So if anything, we might have a situation where we have excess. And now that there has been an amendment to the legislation that allows us to carry over excess housing, then it would go towards another moratorium, assuming that there's affordable housing built into those developments. So I hope that answers your question. It's a little more complicated, but no, it doesn't. It would not impact or change any pending developments that are going on, unfortunately.
Yes.
So, Janet, go ahead.
Good, Janet.
It was a question about the leaf blower ordinance, actually. Because there was, wait, did you want to?
Well, can I just follow up on housing?
Okay.
We'll go back to that.
So it was just what Maria said that then prompted me to have this question about, but what about, there was something in the news about a builder with something on Parade Hill being able to do anything he wants because it's 100%, like, I don't know if it's Section 8 or, so does the work that we're doing through your committee, like, can that sort of put a halt to some of that? Or are we now vulnerable, you know?
I mean, I think that that's a loophole in 830G because it's supportive housing under, you probably know that.
The Parade Hill project that is being proposed is being submitted under a loophole that has never been tested in the state of Connecticut. We are in moratorium, but there are 2 loopholes outside of being grandfathered. The first being that if you develop under 40 units and it has assisted housing, which is undefined. I mean, assisted housing is defined. There's no percentage, it is a legislative problem that needs to get fixed because it is very unspecific. We don't know what how much they have to have. Right now, the proposal that was submitted is for 14 units. 5 of them would be for assisted. The rest, we're not quite sure. It's so that's one loophole that we learned about. Again, never been done before. We are the first in the state of Connecticut to have to deal with this. And then the second is if you have this is probably less likely, 95% of the housing has to be at 60% of SMI. And so that you can't make, I mean, that would have to be, you know, a charity that wanted to like never make money. It's a problem. We need to get a legislative fix. This is, you know, the fact that we're in moratorium and now, you know, I asked our attorneys, how did you miss it? And they're like, we've never seen it done ever. So we are the test case.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think that any units built there by a private developer would count towards a future moratorium for us as a town.
We don't know.
Well,
We don't know. And this
Okay.
is a conversation I had
Oh,
with our
because again,
attorney
it's-
today,
yeah.
because this is the problem we had when we were filing our moratorium application. You know, how long do those, how can you guarantee that that assisted housing will be there for, you know, there's a lot of unknowns. And so this is going to be an interesting case as it progresses.
The case, the loophole that you're talking about is an 830G or an HB
is.
8002?
No, it's an 830G.
830G. and
So it's been
never
out there
tested,
forever and it's
ever.
never been tested before. Cause I mean, it is, it's like, how did this happen? How did we not know? It's never happened before.
Yeah, I think because of the smaller scale of it and that, to your point, developers don't have a ton of motivation to do it or incentive because in order to make money, you have to have a lot of density, market rate units, and the minimum number of affordable.
And the proposal here, is under.
I mean, like under normal circumstances when we don't have a moratorium, like the 830Gs that we're used to dealing, like that we're.
And what's odd about this is that the proposal here is it's a not-for-profit. You know, I know it's a known developer, but it's under the name of some kind of.
We don't know
nonprofit
anything about
entity.
the not-for-profit. We don't know anything about what's being used for quote unquote assisted housing, what's being used. It's very preliminary.
But it makes it feel like we could be like super vulnerable.
Problem. It needs I'm going to say it in public. It needs a legislative fix. It is a problem in 830G. It makes all communities that are trying to do the right thing very vulnerable. And so it needs to be fixed.
You know, it doesn't even help the people that move in. I mean, they won't be able to afford milk at the Acme even. I mean, never mind water sports. I mean, it's just too hard to live here on that level.
When you're using the word assisted, you're talking about financial assistance. You're not talking about activities of daily living assistance.
Right. It is a defined term in 830G, and it references either the type of government financing that's used to develop that housing or rehabilitate that housing, or if I'm assuming there's specific federal programs that are referenced under assisted housing in 830G. So I haven't done a ton of research on those specific programs, but I'm assuming it's like Section 8 housing and things like that. So, but those are the two pieces that qualify for assisted.
And in any event, I think to the extent that impacts or would impact any of the work that we're doing on the Affordable Housing Committee, it really doesn't. It's a small proposed development that has to wind its way through planning and zoning and probably the courts if there isn't a legislative fix in the interim. So it's not necessarily something that we think would impact the numbers that we still need to meet for the next several moratoriums that we are trying to achieve in a way that makes sense for the town. So we're working really hard on that to try and meet our obligations, you know, and hew closely to what our mandate is as a committee and try to do, you know, what's best for our town. So that's where that's where we stand. But yeah, there'll be a lot of activity this spring. And so I'll make sure to keep you guys informed of the dates and stuff, because we'd love to hear from you. Obviously, you know, this will have to go through all levels of our government because it's town properties that we're looking at. And so the more we all know, the better. So I'll keep you guys informed of all of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you have a question about the leaf blowers?
I
Oh,
did.
did Christina have her hand up? Christina, did you have your hand up about affordable housing? I thought I saw. Okay.
Okay.
Same thing.
I've heard from several people that they're concerned that this ordinance is coming from a minority group that is very vocal. So I'm wondering how we can address that by encouraging more people to write in during a survey, or I don't know, something, because I just get the feeling that not enough people are being heard.
I agree with you.
I mean, I think
So-
we had sorry, did you want to answer?
No. Go ahead. You can answer.
We did
Christina.
have a discussion on town council about developing a task force and doing a survey. And we as a group, my memory is, decided to kick it back to bylaws and ordinances and have bylaws and ordinances come up with something. And that's where, but we kind of left that, that option on the table, and we didn't decide to pursue it.
Right. I mean, I think it's easy to do a survey, honestly, but it's very simple. Do you want a restriction or not? And just give them an option to expand on that. I don't think I know people have concerns that a survey would be biased, but I just feel like we need numbers behind,
but
any
Hold on.
legislation.
I'll let Hillary, if you want to respond. Otherwise, Eric's had his hand up, and then I'll go to Jennifer. So, up to you.
I mean, I'll say a couple of things. I think that I understand that communication and input is always something that we're trying to improve upon. This has been percolating for years. It, to some extent, I think if people have concerns, they know how to reach out to us, and they should be encouraged to do so. I don't want misinformation out there about how strict this might be, or because it's really not, if you're following along. Our meetings are public. We've published stuff. We've given, the Charter Commission did a survey, and it's gotten very little feedback so far. So I understand that we are a representative government where we're supposed to be doing things. Not everything can be done by referendum or survey, and we have to all take the pulse of our neighborhoods and the people that we are responsible to. But I'm hard pressed to come up with more ways to force people to give us their opinion about it. So I'm open to all discussions. I'm not going to draft a survey because I don't know how to draft surveys that get you non-biased results. So we would have to engage. And how would we get that out?
I mean, the same way the Charter Commission did it, you put it in the New Canaanite.
And I think they've gotten 45. I think they've gotten 40.
75 for
70 total.
70.
70. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, if people are super mad about a potential leaf blower ordinance, I invite them to come and hear what it actually is.
Right.
And I invite them to reach out to me. And if they're mad, then they'll have to, I don't know.
Well, I agree with you that, the news is out there. We've been talking about it for years, but I'm concerned about people saying that they didn't hear, or they didn't have enough information.
I don't know what to say to that, because I feel like we are super transparent. I don't understand.
I don't think it's a fault of us in any
No,
way.
I don't either.
I think it's just there are people that are disconnected, and you hear about a leaf blower, you think, oh, it's happening in Norwalk.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, Deanna, how many people you reach with your mailer? I mean, 500 out of 18.
2,500, which is actually pretty good.
Let me get Eric in. Eric,
Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say we have received something in the neighborhood of 100 emails. And a number of those 100 people who sent in emails have come and said something in public hearings to the town council and to bylaws and ordinances. The reality of the situation is that those people who are most passionately against the use of these gas-powered leaf blower machines are the ones who are also the most vocal. My anecdotal surveys and research shows the majority of the people that I speak to are not in favor of the leaf blower ban or restrictions as it has potentially been drafted by the committee. So it's just, that's the reality of the situation. The people who are most passionately against it are the ones who have been the most vocal in making their thoughts and ideas heard.
Thank you, Eric. Yes, Jennifer.
Okay, so I would say, I don't necessarily agree with Eric, what you just said. I would say there's really no way to exactly know. What I do know is there was enough interest in this to begin this conversation and have some momentum. And I think that the conversation was that we felt that enough people in town wanted us to at least try to act on this. So I feel like the optics of not drafting something, which by the way, we can vote down as a body, but I just wouldn't kick this can down the road anymore. It's never going to go away. So let's bring it to a head, finish the work, because Hillary's been doing many, many drafts. There's been a lot of input. Let's keep the momentum, finish the work, hopefully come up with the best thing we can and vote. And there'll be a public hearing before that vote. But let's, like, if we don't act on it, we're just going to be, I think, seem to be that, like, and also I just want to add, it's not like so many of our neighboring communities have done something. That doesn't mean we have to do something. We don't have to pass any kind of restrictions, but to not do anything, to not bring this to a head and take a vote seems like a dereliction of duty.
Any other questions or comments on the good old leaf blower ordinance?
I agree with Jen, just for the record.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll have something for the full body soon so that it's not this, but I invite you all to come to our next meeting on Monday or to follow along. Hopefully we can move this along. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome.
Always appreciate your input. So if you know anybody that has a strong opinion or no opinion about it or anything, and they can shoot us an email or something, great.
I don't have an opinion.
Or no, you might say I'm agnostic about it. I want to hear more.
So March 2nd, Monday.
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
is the next bylaws and
ordinance committee meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
On the website.
And it's in the boardroom.
All right, so that's pretty much it. But before we break, a reminder about our turn to get the budget, which is coming up, like a week or two? 2 weeks is our first meeting. So if you have not, first of all, I will commend all of our committees for moving along and doing what I've asked them to do. I'm really very proud of that work. And the diligence I've seen is increased every year that I've been on town council. Moving forward, and every year since I've been chair, I've been trying to manage the process in a far more efficient way. I think, and I'm going to say it again, I think it's cruel and unusual that we have the department heads come in to us and give us the same presentation that they gave the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance, and in our committee meetings. I just think it's wrong. I think it's incredibly inefficient. I think every one of us has the obligation to show up when the budget comes to us, to have watched all the Board of Finance meetings and have watched each other's committee meetings. I'm through, I think, almost most of the committee meetings on our end. So when we walk into our budget meetings, we have a very, very truncated and abbreviated recap of the presentations from the various departments. I mean, literally a few minutes of top line items. We get it at the end because it's been scrubbed by the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance and our own committees. So when we get it in March, we are at the end of the process, and we really should have sharpened questions to the department heads, and not a generalized discussion and just start throwing out random thoughts about how they can run the department better. They're asking us for a lot of money. And if we have pointed questions, ask them. If we don't, we wrap it up and we move it along. And especially with the Board of Ed, there's always material to discuss with them, but they bring in, a phalanx of people that just sit there for hours on end. I mean, when I started back, whenever, no offense to any of the chairmen, but it was like 3-hour meetings and would go to 11 o'clock at night. It's not right to do that to these people at the end of this process. So really like requiring you show up with questions. If you don't have any, that's fine. But if you do, then we ask them. We're just not going to sit here and go through, an hour presentation by Dr. Lutzy, and then we start, and then we bring them back, and we have the same discussion. It's not fair, and it's inefficient. So please sharpen your pencils, and if you have questions, ask them. If not, we're moving it along. Maria?
Can I just add too? Thanks, Mike. If you have questions as you're watching it, just write them and email Janet and I, and we'll compile the questions. So the sooner you do that, the more time they have to answer them, and that's just better for everyone.
So that's a great point, because especially with the Board of Ed,
Yes.
and look, they answer our questions. What happens, the problem we run into is that we do give them questions sometime during the month of March. It's a lot of questions. They do answer them, but what will happen is we get, a large stapled packet of the questions with the corresponding answers, and we'll get that probably the last time they come to speak to us. We haven't had an opportunity to review the responses to the questions, and it kind of just sits there. So when we show back up at our full final public hearing and discussion, I think that's wrong. I don't think it's helpful at all. I haven't found it to be helpful. So I think the process really should be, if you have questions on any particular issue, whether it's Board of Ed or any other department, just write the questions, send it to Janet, CC the rest of us, and then we can have a compiled list of questions that we can send to any department head in advance and say, hey, be prepared to ask this question. So answer this question, so they don't feel sandbagged, and they've had an opportunity to consider and gather facts and information and be able to answer the question at the time they arrive, not give it to them and they can't answer it and they want to come back and we don't really have the time. So I think that's the appropriate process we should be following.
So send to the chair and Janet?
Send it to Janet and just CC the rest of us. She'll compile it, and then we'll at that point then have it distributed out to the various department heads way in advance of them showing up.
Especially Board of Ed, because
That's the big one.
if we get them the questions earlier, we should get the answers earlier, so.
Are we combining this with Board of Finance, the questions, or?
They'll
Or there's
ask
like
their
a-
own, they usually
Okay.
have their own set of questions. By the time we get the questions, they're done, so.
Right, okay.
Board of Finance meets, again, and they're gonna go help them.
Yeah,
now
that's
for
right.
the follow-up
Yeah.
tomorrow night. And then final capital, and then on, next Tuesday, the 3rd is the public hearing, and on next Thursday is the vote. And then it goes to your first meeting.
Right, and be mindful of that public hearing with the Board of Finance, because that's a real preview of any type of community engagement on any particular issue. I know a lot of times people don't show up, and I think that's also important for us to know as we go into our process. Hey, was there anything in particular that the community is, kind of, queuing in on, whether it be whatever, the budgets for the library or whatever, headcount for the Board of Ed. I think it's important for us to see as a kind of a bellwether as to, how much community engagement may exist on any particular issue. So, yeah.
It's my first time going through a budget with you guys. Do you, when there's like cuts coming, or people want cuts, is everything siloed? Like, okay, I went to a rec meeting and I thought, $400K for sprinklers and $50K for a weed whacker is a lot of money, but it's fine if they're not cutting from Board of Ed. Do you say, like, do you bring up okay, I am uncomfortable with this expense in rec and it sits in that silo, or do you say I'd be okay with that as long as you're not cutting anything in another department, which I think is important?
It is siloed. So we'll look at it department by department, and we say either we're going to approve the budget as presented, or we have the authority to reduce the ask, or we could just send it back to them for further consideration. So it wouldn't be like, don't spend 50 grand on sprinklers. You could spend the 50 grand in the Department of Public Works on X, Y, and Z, so long as the police don't get extra, whatever, bulletproof vest or something. We don't offset costs like that, if that's what you're asking. We keep it siloed. Yeah, we don't offset. Correct.
Good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Penny, one more on that?
I have a not on budget
Okay,
comment.
fair enough. We can move it along. I made my point. Go.
Okay, you were making sure that everybody was watching the finance meetings. I hope everybody is also watching the charter meetings. There's a lot of commentary that's being presented to them as they are interviewing all of us, and I hope all of us have presented. And you can, after you've presented, go home and be thinking about something you forgot to mention or has come up with other people's presenting comments, and we perhaps have experienced it a little bit differently and would be helpful for the commission to know what that other experience is and the dynamics in that, because they don't necessarily have sat through some of these topics as we have. So that's why I'm saying, please watch what they're being exposed to and make your comments accordingly.
Yeah, great point, because that will come to us for a vote at some point. So we all need to be as educated as we're educating ourselves for the budget. So great point, Penny. I'm glad you raised it.
Yeah, their report to us, I think, is due in early May, so it's coming up.
Yeah, for sure. We'll jump right into that. So good stuff. Okay. With that said, can I get a motion to adjourn? Janet, second. Kim. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Very good. Thank you.